So I just kind of go for a outside shape first. See that this is kind of going to. There's a little over here. And this one's kind of going over. Let's take that one off. Maybe it's a little lower. Maybe this one's a little higher. Depends on how accurate you feel like you want to be. We have a little tile roof there in the center. And basically two long, cylinders. There. Creates a bit of a shadow. All that's in shadow, all that's in shadow. And then, what you do is you wipe it all out. Because you don't like it. A little too crowded for me. Okay. Let's try this. Oh, I really scratched this.
The joys of oil.
Yeah. Okay, let's try it again. Very wide, these guys. Yeah. Morning.
Oh,
Good morning.
good morning. Rob.
There's other ellipses down here. It is a pretty small deal there. And I really don't see much of the roof. A little more than that though. Okay. Then we come down. Down.
Done what? Oh, heck yeah.
And then we just have basically two big cylinders. Going like that. Which are really fun. I mean, the way they catch the light and the way shadows go around them, I mean, you just don't see that very often. Kind of have to go to Europe or something to see that sort of architecture. It's here. Alright. And then we have this roof here. Before I get into all this detail, I think it's probably best just to start it off really simple, like this first. Maybe I'll put a couple goodies down here at the bottom. All right. Yellow and white. It's always yellow and white.
Stop it.
White.
All the other people in my family quit having me in the 50s, so maybe that's exactly what happened to her. My father, my brother. I think for a lot of people it's a common, it's not, well, maybe it's because you like something healthy, or maybe it's because you ate olives, or maybe it's because you ate chocolate. But it's not like any of those. I think it's a combination. If every time you had red wine, you had a migraine, you'd say, that's it, right? But it's not. It has to be sort of a combination, so you never dial it in.
My mom knows a lot about it.
Does she get them?
She used to. She runs a wellness center, like way up near Tahoe or up in the mountains.
See, did hers stop in her 50s also?
Yeah.
See? That's, at least there's hope for her.
But she moved out into the mountains, and she swears it's the smog. So
It's the what?
smog.
Smog. Why not?
And she moved out there. She said she stopped getting it.
You know, that's really awesome.
Oh man, I remember growing up. She'd have to lay in a room with no lights and blackout.
My dad was like that.
She has organic everything. Believe me, it's almost like it's listening to a conspiracy theorist. Listening to her, but you know, she's happier. So
If it works for her, who cares, right?
yeah. So then in the background over there, I see some grays. Maybe a little bit bluer gray back here. Just gonna include some grays back there. And I'm gonna lay this in really, really flat. That's something I'd like you to concentrate on today. On something like this, there's so much detail in it. Let's just lay out I call it graphics, okay? So, I'm gonna do my shadows first on here, and in here. So, I'm gonna come up, and really, virtually, I'm seeing a lot of the same color in the shadows, so what I like to do is this. I'll take red, yellow, and blue, and make up the value that I see in the shadows. Now the shadow on the building is nowhere near as dark as these shadows up in here. But I might make up one color that kind of covers the whole thing. And maybe it's a little more yellow than that. So then I'm liking this value and color here, but the problem is that it's a little too gray for me. So I'm gonna add a little bit more saturation to that color. And I'm going to walk it down toward the cool side. So we have a yellowish building. I'm going to push more violet in my shadow. See how that works. So I'm going to have blue and magenta. That killed the value. I need to bring up the value with white. And see where we're at there. It's a little bit more bitter. But I think I want a little bit more saturation out of that, so let's see, do we want it there? That's pretty saturated, but I like it. Okay, so we got this big cast shadow starting about here, and it just kind of floats all the way over this cylinder, and then it kind of stops. We have a shadow underneath that roof, and a shadow underneath this roof. Like I say, I know there's darker values in there, but I'm looking just to cover this thing with the most logical color. Just gets me there as quickly as possible. Then we have more stuff right down there. I'll just lose a lot of this stuff into there too. So that took care of a lot. Now we have this obscure sort of thing in the background. I don't know, another roof in the middle, way off in the background. And I don't like it.
It makes it confusing.
Yeah, it's confusing. If I could get up higher and see it and clear it up, that'd be fine. What I'll do is just pull some sky in there. That's good. We're not getting much shadow on the roofs. Interesting. So we have these orange rooftops. So I'm going to make orange.
It's only the shadow. It's actually, it looks like the shadow on the sunny side.
It's right.
It's because it's the shadow of the tiles or something.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. Isn't that weird?
It looks opposite
It
what it
is.
should be.
It's because the shadow of the tiles. You're totally right.
You see what I mean? Wow, that's weird.
So all I did was cad red, cad yellow, and a little bit of white. If I want to neutralize that and make it less orange, I can add the slightest amount of blue. Got a little bit right there. And that'll gray it. Usually it's a better idea to start off more saturated and kill the saturation later. Just get those covered. Okay, now let's go for the light on those buildings. Okay, take yellow, white. It's got a little bit of orange in it. It's dominated by the yellow. And then to gray the yellow, because if I go that much, I think maybe it's a little too much. But I like the value. And if I add a little bit of red to it, let's see. Not bad either. But if I want to dull that, all I have to do is take a little bit of the shadow, because it's already got violet in it, touch that in it. That'll darken it, so you want to pump it up with a little more white. You see how this just dulls it? So somewhere. So I like some of the saturation too, so I'm just gonna rough it in like this first. And maybe here and there just hit little pops of saturation. I got a little bit on my finger. That's my 15-second rule.
15 seconds.
Yeah, if I don't get it off my finger in 15 seconds, then it's over.
Right, like if the cookie falls on the floor.
It's
you
over.
have-
I understand
Depending
that.
on how good the
I've
cookie
never
is.
I've never heard the oil.
Yeah, I noticed people like younger generations are, if they see anything on your hands or whatever, they're in shock. Absolute shock. You're gonna get it on your hands.
I carried it all the way out to the car, and as I opened the car door, it fell out of my hand and it went under the car. And I'm like, I'm going to eat that. I don't care. I call
So you
under
see
my
how that's
car.
maybe a bit too much, right? So now if I take just the slightest amount of red, I can dull that color and naturalize that color. And it really won't take too much effort. I could even dull it quite a bit more by adding more red to the green, because that's going to gray it. Could even take a little magenta that's got blue in it. Or, and into a really red green, but we could throw some of that down there. Bushes. Maybe some things up there. Some other things back there. Here. So the vegetation just warms it all up. So a natural green is going to have red in it. Or orange, whatever you like to call it.
When you look at that building,
Yeah.
you look at your painting, are those the colors you see in your painting?
No, I'm oversaturating them on purpose. Now, like I said in the beginning, if I take, like, let's say the yellow. Oof. Oh, I thought that was my umbrella. I said, what's going on here? If I take the yellow and kick it up with a little bit of white, so that gets me the value I want. The color is grayer, so if I wanted it to actually be the true color, I would add a lot more gray to it because it's a very gray building, and white to that. And you see that that's actually more of the color I'm seeing up there. But a lot of times I don't like what I'm seeing and I want to emphasize. So plein air isn't necessarily realism, you know? I mean, look at all the great plein air artists. They're trying to show you what they're seeing. Plus, you know, they're doing it in the beginning too. They would do it so they would know what colors to use when they're back in the studio. So oftentimes they'll really emphasize colors. Really emphasize certain colors. So when they go back to the studio, they can gray it down and detail it up all they want. You need to think of them as notes. Plein air is color notes. That would be great, you know, if we did that. We had an assignment where we actually did the plein air, and then we went back, used the plein air back in the studio, made sketches, took photographs, and made a big painting off your notes, using them as color notes. And then you kind of really get what it's all about. That's really what it was for in the beginning. Then it sort of evolved into its own art form later.
Do you usually take yours home to the studio and work on them, or do you?
These? No.
No.
So, what do we got here? We got something in there. Gaps there. The other way to do this is go like this. And then come back. I mean, I definitely am seeing some, like a glow in there, so if that's something you want to catch. You could hit a little bit of reflected light up in here. And then take your little pillars You notice because it's round, the pillows get closer together as they get toward the edge. They are equally distant, but you might be tempted to make them all equally distant. As long as they're getting a little bit closer to each other toward the edge, you'll be fine. And then you can just get a little light on the mirror. Maybe a little louder. You can even hit all the little architectural details if you like. That's a lot of detail. Something up and under here. Oops. Under the rooftops usually it gets a little bit darker. Anything usually right under the roof. And then we have these a little darker toward the top there. Just put it back. Fire escape.
Fire escape covers the whole thing.
Fire escape.
Oh, you're putting in the fire escape.
And it's got little shadows too. Under here.
With the palm tree in?
Yeah, how about we do that? I'll do that after I get a few of these in there. These guys in there. Window there, window. Here. Now, as it goes into shadow here, you can just blur this line. And possibly even emphasize a little bit of something lighter on this side here. As he catches a little light. I probably should have done that earlier. This doesn't really matter.
How many years have you understood value?
You know what's weird? See, I always did everything in color. Color was just always my baby. Growing up, I always thought in color. So when I started studying value, I didn't even know what value was. I never did a black and white painting because I just thought, what's the point in that? So, it wasn't even until more college than high school. I did a little bit of value in high school, but college that I really started thinking about value. I mean, I really didn't think about it before. But I did get really good values because I was always thinking color, 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 color. So I remember once I was taking this class, and the teacher was talking about color, and I said, he was talking about value and how value is more important than color. And I said, I think maybe he thought I was being a smart aleck, but I said, if you get the color right, isn't the value built in? And then he kind of rolled his eyes at me, and I thought, that's the way I've always done it. I always thought, well, okay, if I get that color right, then the value should be right? So why do I need to worry about value? And then, so in my opinion, color was always more important. But now I've come to realize over the years that I think value is, because you can get away with different colors in a value. I see where he's coming from, but I think I had a point there, because my point was always, well, I'm painting this here green. I have a dark. I'm using a really dark green, but it's this green. I'm going to get this, and I get it right. And I never really thought too much about value. It helped me though.
Well, I think you're right.
But even now, I think I have a point.
Picture, you put that first shadow on, and I thought, this is cool. It's way too dark.
You thought that was too dark? Oh.
Yes, and it's not. It's perfect.
Well, over here I can see it. It's definitely lightened up. We're more of a halftone.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so see, now I could take this and reshape my building there a little bit. Get those. That's more of a detail, and that's more, it really doesn't have to do with color notes all that much. It has more to do with selling a painting, right? Because we know that we could play with these contours all right. What's more important is getting the color and the values and the shapes right. Like, does it really matter whether I get these on here? It might make a better painting, you know what I mean? But it's not going to serve you in the studio if you're doing a plein air. So you'll see a lot of times more. If you'll look at, like, for instance, I did this thing at the Huntington Library. They had a retrospective of constables. No, who was it? Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name.
Turner?
Gainsborough. He's constable. He did. Anyway, he did these plein air paintings and studied for it, and they were really rough. But I was thinking to myself, that's true plein air, because he never really even meant for them to be sold. I don't think he meant for anyone to even see them, even though he knows in his own mind that they're probably maybe even better than the finish. So I might want to, like, really emphasize that color in there. I don't think it's necessary to put every shadow in there, but if you wanted to, I might make a couple marks like that. I could lighten this up a little bit. Yeah. I could lighten up a little bit.
Enough, Rob.
It's only art. I might do something like that if I really wanted to emphasize a little bit of sky in there. Even though I know the color is actually much more gray than that. it's probably, you know, the shadows are probably more in that category. I just don't know. You got to do what's right for you. So the rest is, you know, we have a lot of vertical things going on back here. Very, very vertical. Maybe I'll throw a little light on the ground here. Really bright. Wow. Very interesting. Oh yeah, you want a palm tree?
No, that's okay. I mean, you don't.
No, Rob, please. Please. I could put all those little balconies on. Okay. Anyway, I want you to see it really flat. See how I started this thing off so flat?
Yeah.
And it's not very difficult to pop the form. Look, I might want to, like, let's say, for instance, it does kind of warm it up a little bit, just to have a little bit of something in there. You could add and subtract things as you go. Now sometimes I'll do this, because I have a pretty good value here. You see, it just doesn't have enough saturation. So I'm going to add a little yellow, and that won't kill the saturation. And sorry, that'll keep it saturated but won't kill the value. And then maybe I'm thinking it has a little more red in it. So it's usually red or orange. There, I like that better. Bounce that around a little bit here and there. So you could put those palm trees in there. Oh yeah. And don't forget the darks. And what I like to do is get it really dark, find my darkest darks, add a little bit of white to those, like down in here, maybe darker than that. Hit those darks. Wait, what is that, Lynn? I hit the darks? What do I do?
No, you smack.
Oh, smack them. Smack the darks. Yeah, there you go. I
love
forgot.
He says that to me a lot because I don't smack my dark. No.
Yeah, but it sticks with you though, huh?
It does.
Isn't
I
it
love
weird?
it.
Somebody said that to me before, and it really stuck.
Somebody said that to you?
Yeah, I don't know who it was. But somewhere, somebody said, you really have to hit those. Smack them, smack them. What are you doing? Probably a teacher. Anyway, any sort of, if you want to, for sale, window dressing. This is the window dressing. And I'll little bit of yellow on those lights though. A little bit of yellow on the light. There's a lot to get lost in up there. There's curtains. I could give you a curtain demo.
Oh.
I've painted a lot of curtains. I bet you have too, huh? Those murals. Every time you paint a window, there's all the curtains and the stuff you put in the windows here.
You wouldn't believe the things that they would put in the windows and the backdrops at Warner Brothers. There was a lot of obscene things going on in those windows and those 150-foot backdrops with all the windows. Stuff was happening there.
Somebody was having a good time.
See, I told that to. I mentioned that in one of my classes. Not only in murals, but they do it in animation too. I don't know if you've heard that.
Do they?
Okay, but a lot of my animation friends tell me there's a reason they call them sausage forms. Because all the animations, when you break down the people, all the all the animals and whatever, they do kind of look kind of sausagey. And anyway, they hide stuff in there, and he goes, you wouldn't believe it. I'm not even going to mention it to you. He goes, your imagination will go from here. And I said, I said this to one of my classes, and they refused to believe it. No, that's a no. Artists will sneak in any kind of creativity they can. Okay, all right. Okie dokie.
Signature, please.
Basics.
When you add the red to your greens to make it
Yeah.
a better, more realistic green, does that change the value?
Yeah.
Oh, everything.
And it could ruin your color.
If you do too much?
Look, now we have this really nice palm tree shadow on there. Look at that.
You're gonna have to now. You're gonna have to. That's cool. It looks better than the palm tree itself. Now, how can you have a shadow and not have the?
I know. Now I got to put the palm tree in there. Oh well. I won't waste your time.
It's never ending.
Yeah. This thing will definitely throw you for a loop.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay.